Have you ever noticed some days your brain works like a jet engine and some days like a dead battery? Same you, same room, same coffee, but your mind is either extremely fast or strangely slow. So why? Today we will talk about an invisible feature of the brain's voltage. And yes, the brain is truly an organ that operates with electricity. The brain is not mechanical like a bone. The brain works with a mix of electricity and chemistry. Even as you listen to this sentence, electrical signals are traveling between billions of neurons in your brain. But don't confuse this with the electricity you use at home. These are bioelectric signals. Bioelectricity is generated in our brain as a result of the movement of sodium and potassium ions, which form salt, from inside the cell to the outside. This is approximately an 80 millivolt current, which means 0.08 volts. So based on these calculations, to charge the phone you currently have, approximately 62 people would need to come together and transfer the electrical energy generated in our brains to the phone via a cable. Of course, if the phone doesn't give the warning, this accessory may not be supported. And here's the surprising part. Although the brain is only about 2% of our body weight, it consumes approximately 20% of the body's total energy. So the brain is like the device that uses the most electricity at home. However, its equivalent of an electricity bill is mostly sugar and salt. That's why, in cases of excessive salt or sugar loss, the brain becomes foggy. Because the voltage has dropped. What we call voltage is the pushing force of electricity. The brain works similarly in this situation. Neurons produce very small but measurable electrical voltages when they communicate. These voltages can increase, decrease, or become unstable. And this difference changes your thinking, focus, and even mood. When brain signals rise excessively, thoughts speed up. The mind doesn't quiet down, sleep becomes difficult, and there is excessive stimulation. This state sometimes feels like I'm very productive, but in the long run, it creates mental fatigue. So high voltage is not always good. When brain signals drop excessively, distraction increases, focus is lost, reactions slow down, and motivation decreases. This situation is often described as "my brain isn't working, I think it's burned out," or "we einsteigen." Actually, the brain is working, but the voltage level has dropped. This voltage level is measured with the EEG device, which we all encounter, especially when looking for the ultrasound or tomography department in large hospitals. The brain waves measured by this device are delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. It's enough to know these briefly about these waves. Delta puts you to sleep, theta makes you dream, alpha calms you, beta makes you talk, gamma makes the brain work at full throttle. Don't say, "Oh, let's stay at full throttle, we'll go full throttle," because it's good for these waves to be used by the brain as needed. Now I will tell you two methods to lower or raise our brain waves. Let's say you had a very tiring day and you are still at full speed in the gamma wave and want to switch to the sleep wave, delta. Then for 90 seconds, you will do the following. 1. Close your eyes. 2. Bring a meaningless half word to your tongue. For example, laramu. 3. Scatter this word in your mind without fully saying it. 4. Let your breath go without counting or controlling it. 5. Cut off the thought in your mind without completing it. This way, the brain makes an error. The fast band closes, the slow band activates, and transitioning to sleep becomes easier. The brain transitions to sleep not by completing, but by leaving things unfinished. Now, let's say you're in the middle of a very tiring day, but you need to work, and you started daydreaming while you're sitting. Soon, you'll enter the delta wave of sleep. But you need to stay and work in the gamma wave. Then, for 60 seconds, sit upright but comfortably. 2. Close your eyes and do nothing for 10 seconds. 3. Suddenly open your eyes, but without turning your head. Catch the smallest detail in the room with just your eyes, like a screw, crack, stain, or dot. And while looking at that detail in the room, press your tongue against the roof of your mouth. Not like speaking, apply a steady pressure. 5. At the same time, whisper a single word to yourself. There is danger. It doesn't take time to wake up the brain. A little fear and change of direction are enough. The issue is not to silence the brain, but to know how to switch to the right frequency. We criticized the brain, but this time we understood its electricity.